Greetings movie fans, welcome to Film Ramble. My name is Rich and I've got some movie news for you today. And the first little bit of movie news I've got for you today is something I'm really excited about. It's a video game movie based off one of my favourite video franchises. However, it has not been that successful critically on the big screen. It has been successful financially, and that is Resident Evil. So writer and director Zach Cregger, who's behind the indie horror film Barbarian, is interested in giving his own take on the Resident Evil franchise. And this is something I'm quite excited about. Barbarian was a very successful horror film with a very strong vision. So to have a director with that talent come in to Resident Evil, I think it's definitely needed. The last Resident Evil film we had was okay, it wasn't that great. It was nice to see them go back to their roots and bring some of the things that were familiar from video games to a big screen, but it fell short. It didn't quite hit the mark that we wanted it to hit. So he has mentioned he wants to keep it close to the source material as possible, making it horror, which is really great news for us Resident Evil fans to hear. As we know from Resident Evil movies in the past and the TV show on Netflix, for some reason they seem to deviate away from the source material way too much, except for that Resident Evil movie we had recently, which we don't seem to be continuing forwards with that. I thought at one point there was confirmed that they were going to do another Resident Evil movie, a follow-up to that one, but it was going to be a prequel on Ada 1. So I guess that movie is not moving forward, and that we're going to get a new vision, a brand new reboot from Zach Cregger, which I'm more looking forward to for his vision than I would be a prequel from the Resident Evil movie we had recently with Ada 1. If we were to do another movie from that film, I'd want it to be a follow-up, but I couldn't see what they could potentially do after that movie because they crammed too much into that film, and that was one of the reasons why that film failed. It had too much stuff in there from the first video game and the second video game that they really missed an opportunity there to really branch things out a bit. You could have had a whole movie set in that Spencer mansion, which would have been really creepy and really great. If anything, that was the best bits for me of that film when they're in the mansion, because we haven't really seen a horror film with zombies in a mansion where they're lurking about, creeping about, where the zombies pop up every now and again. That would have been interesting. So I do wonder if Zach Cregger will do that, if he will focus in on just setting it on one thing, it being something like the Spencer Mansion. Or we could go the other way. For us video game fans of Resident Evil, you will know the last Plagueis from Resident Evil 4. Perhaps maybe we could introduce them instead of having zombies. However, it's going to be a while until we get that Resident Evil movie from himself, as at the moment he's in production of a new indie horror called Weapons that hasn't even been given a release date yet, but it's set to be released sometime in the near future. So at the moment I can imagine it's very early development on this new Resident Evil movie. It may not even happen potentially, as we all know with these things. One minute they're announced and in development, and the next minute they're not happening, and movies that we could only wish to ever happen. So we shall see. Moving on to the next thing. Okay, so up next is something to put on your calendar if you're a Sonic fan. March 19th, 2027 will be the release of Sonic 4 in cinemas, and apparently this next film will feature time travel elements in its plot. So you know what that means? Jim Carrey will be returning. So I really did wonder after saw Sonic 3 with the next Sonic film, would they break away from Eggman and have a Sonic film without him being in there? But I think by this point in the franchise that would be too odd. I mean, these Sonic films have been very successful due to having Jim Carrey in them. He's been a very integral part to their success. And as well as bringing Sonic to a big screen, these films have brought Jim Carrey back to a big screen as well, in the way that we had in the 90s, so as well as bringing Sonic to the silver screen. And I think it would be really great to have him back on there as well. I mean, I'm just assuming, it hasn't been confirmed, but when I hear about time travel elements in a plot, that to me says that he will be in there some sort of way, and that's a way to get around of what happened at the end of Sonic 3. So I really do hope that he is in there, because like I said, he has been a very integral part to the success of these movies, and it just would be so strange to have him not in there. I just hope we just take a break from the dance numbers. So it's been announced that writer and director Robert Eggers, who's behind the very successful horror film Nosferatu, which is in cinemas at the moment, his next movie is set to come out Christmas 2026, and it's going to be a werewolf movie set in the 14th century. So it seems to be we're getting a real resurgence of werewolf movies at the moment. We've had werewolves, and also we've had The Wolfman by Leigh Whannell and Blumhouse, and those movies were okay, but to get a movie by Robert Eggers, a strong visionary filmmaker like himself, would be absolutely fantastic. But another thing as well, the bit that I'm really excited for is that this movie is going to be set in the 14th century, which is going to make it distinctive and set apart from those movies we've had recently. But not just that, the fact that it's in the 14th century is going to give it a very interesting, chilly atmosphere that could not be achieved in those movies with their modern day setting. And it has been mentioned that Robert Eggers doesn't want to work in the modern day, which is great because I think sometimes these classic horror characters like werewolves and vampires, they work better when you bring them back to the time periods that these creatures and monsters originated from. So I can't wait to see that when that comes out. I was really pleasantly surprised that they showed us some more footage of a Superman movie. I mean, it wasn't too much footage. It wasn't like they'd given a lot of the film away. It was just a few more little shots here and there from a trailer I've already seen. But hey, if they want to show some more footage without giving the game away, I'm all good for that. I'm really excited for this movie. I never thought I would be excited for this film. I wasn't really that keen on seeing it until they released that trailer back a month ago. I'm all on board for it, even Crypto the Superdog. I mean, it's been a James Gunn movie, I'm sure it's going to be great, but it could still be terrible. And if we got any more footage they want to show us between now and then, I cannot wait. Anyway, that's a wrap for now. I just want to say before I go, if you could please like and subscribe, as it really helped my channel out. And thank you for watching to the end of the video if you have. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. And I'll be back next time with some more movie news and reviews.